Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Core studio. Welcome to the show. So, in the past, with the any number in a deck kind of cards, like, Persistent Petitioners, or Dragon's Approach, or Slime Against Humanity, I have built those, and to the extreme to a point, like 36 Dragon's Approaches, 40 Slime Against Humanities, check those episodes out, but I have done something different for this one because... well, Hare Apparent, I really wanted to go crazy for this one, so 66 Hare Apparents and this deck. Now, this also ironically became one of the most expensive decks I've ever actually built because, well, this is $265.79, and I myself am a budget player, but I will let you know that currently, unless you're proxying it, it is impossible to build a budget-friendly Hare Apparent deck because they are like $4 a piece. So literally that just is what it is at this point because the number that people are, buying up because it's an exciting card and you can use any number in the deck and you can use an absurd amount of number in the deck and yeah, it's very expensive even though it is a common. So there you go. So with this card, let's talk about this card, why it's exciting to build a deck around it, and how in the world we can justify 66 of these in a singular deck, and the deck still functions, well, very, very well. Let's jump into it. A 2/2 Rabbit Noble for 2 mana in white. When this creature enters, create a number of 1/1 white rabbit creature tokens equal to the number of other creatures you control named Hare Apparent. A deck can have any number of cards named Hare Apparent. So, yeah, we really took that again to the extreme, making it 66. That's as high as I could justify, okay? Like, you might be able to justify a little bit more than that, but I could not justify any more than that. And, of course, yeah, I mean... you could go with a more reasonable number if you want, maybe down to like, say, 40 or so, and include other aspects into the deck or change out the commander. And at the end of the episode, actually, I will highlight a lot of exciting commanders to work with this one. But basically, the more Hare Apparent you get into play, the more ETBs you have with this, the more tokens you make, and this can get really crazy really quickly. Kind of like, bunnies everywhere. Absolutely. So... essentially, the more and more you get to play, the more exponential growth you have of your creature tokens, and you can just take over the game with an absurd army of rabbits. Now, again, with 66 of these, which again, I keep just seeing that number, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like, well, first of all, that's like, $200 and so many out of this budget. My goodness. Well, what kind of a commander are we going to utilize for this build? And the way to actually do this, I was trying to, again, figure out what commander I want to build around this. And I was like, you know what? I want to go as many Hare Apparents as I can. And what commander lets me justify that? Well, that is none other than yet another rabbit, actually, Baylen the Haymaker, which is just kind of ironic, I think, essentially, with this one. Baylen the Haymaker, to me, is the probably perfect commander for Hare Apparent because you can get away with so much with it. It's a 4/3 Rabbit Warrior for 3 mana in Naya. Tap 2 untap tokens you control, add 1 mana of any color. Tap 3 untap tokens you control, draw a card. Tap 4 untap tokens you control, put 3 counters on Baylen against your until end of turn. Here's the thing, again, when it comes to Commander and kind of what makes Commander decks actually function for the most part, there are 2 main components. There's other components too, but 2 main components. And those are, well, mana generation / ramp, and also card draw / card advantage / card selection. So with that, this commander lets you do both. In fact, in leaning super hard into Hare Apparent and getting more and more of those out, making more and more tokens, you get more mana, you get more card draw. So it covers those aspects for you. And also, I guess this could be a win condition for you as well by tapping a ton of them and then trampling over your opponents with this commander too. So this is a very powerful commander. Actually, I just did an episode where I talked about the most powerful commanders right now for popular commanders right now. Make sure you check that out to see where Baylen finishes there. A little tier list ranking. That being said, this build, again, it is a quote-unquote joke build, right? You're going, like, super hard into Hare Apparent. Like, if you wanted to, like, really kind of pare it down, you probably would take out, I don't know, a couple of these 66 Hare Apparents so you can include some other things in the build. That being said, if you are leaning super hard into being like, yeah, every card I draw is a Hare Apparent, and then you play it with other Hare Apparents, you can do crazy things with this. Again, literally at a certain point, this is like an engine that goes on its own, because you play a Hare Apparent. Let's say you're at the point where you can literally make like 5 tokens, okay? which does not take much time at all. You just have a bunch of other Hare Apparents in play. You play, you make 5 tokens, you can tap 3 of those tokens immediately, because again, it doesn't matter if they have haste or not, doesn't matter if there's something sick or not. The ability is on the commander. Again, tap 3 untapped tokens you control, kind of like how Urza has the same thing like for artifacts. That being said, tap 3 untapped tokens you control, draw a card. So you can just tap 3 of them right away, draw a card. Oh, look, another Hare Apparent. Cool. Then tap 2 of your other tokens that I just mentioned on the 5 and add 1 mana, and there you go. You're halfway there to casting the next Hare Apparent. Essentially, once you get to like 7+ tokens, you are literally just going, oh, okay, cool, yeah. Tap 3 of them, draw a card. Oh, Hare Apparent. Okay, I'll tap my 4 other tokens, make 2 mana, cast the Hare Apparent, make 8 new tokens, do the same thing again and again and again and again. Of course, there's going to be times when you draw into lands, yes, but more often than not, you won't because you've got so many Hare Apparents. Yeah, there are some absurd things you can do with this, and again, at a certain point, you literally are just flooding the board with, like, your entire deck of Hare Apparents, which is pretty crazy. Now, obviously, there's other things to consider when building not such a heavy Hare Apparent deck. Like, yeah, you're like, okay, well, what about removal? What about, like, maybe some untap effects? What about maybe some blink effects? Yeah, but come on. You want to play a deck with 66 Hare Apparents, or you're just like, oh, okay, I draw a card. Wow, a Hare Apparent. Who knew? Play it. Do another one, another one, another one, another one. Just going absolutely bonkers crazy with this. Baylen is the perfect commander for this kind of a build. Really quick, though, I am going to jump through some of the lands for you to kind of describe how in the world we're going to do this, because, yeah, when it comes to fixing, we do need some fixing to make sure we get our commander out. Once we get things going, though, we're going to be fine because our, tokens can help us tap for mana. That being said, let's jump into lands, and then after that, let's jump into the commanders that you might want to consider for Hare Apparent outside of Baylen. So when it comes to lands, well, Ash Barrens. Very simple, very straightforward land. Land cycle away for 1. So again, literally whatever you need, cycle it away for that early on in the game. Or if you just need to tap for, 1 mana of any color, cool, you can get it down, you can do that right away. Blighted Woodland can help you ramp later in the game too, which is quite nice as well. Get some lands out of your deck, so you're not drawing into so many lands. Cabaret Courtyard, ETBs, sacrifice it, gain a life, and then go get one of your lands into play, tap one of your basics, I should say, which is huge for fixing. Citadel Gate and these kinds of cards that are like, hey, enter the battlefield tapped, choose a color other than the color that this taps for, which in this case is white. So you can either choose red or green depending on what you need. It can really help for early game fixing for you. Sure, it's a little bit slower, but that is okay. Again, like Citadel Gate, we've got Cliff Gate and other gates too. But yeah, basically do the exact same thing. They're just like different colors. Command Tower, of course, is amazing. Yeah, I can tap for any of your colors, obviously. Escape Tunnel, kind of like an Evolving Wilds. You can also, if you want to, make one of your little creatures unblockable. Cool, but yeah, more like an Evolving Wilds, you just sacrifice, get a land. Exotic Orchard, typically you can tap for any of your colors depending on what your opponents have as well. Of course, we got our basics as well, like Forest, but yeah, I mean, Forest, okay, Mountain, we got a couple of those in there too, and Plains. Great Hall of the Citadel, this can actually help us filter our mana for our commander, again, which is the most important thing, because, yeah, once you get things going, once you get those Hare Apparents in play, you're going to be able to be like, oh, okay, I tap those tokens for mana. Cool, I get to actually fix in that way too. Jungle Shrine, enters battlefield, tap, can tap for any of our colors. Frozen Verge, again, can help us ramp kind of like a Blighted Woodland. Again, Manor Gate, like those other gates I already talked about. Mountains, Mirrored Landscape, yeah, another way to ramp as well, and kind of like fix mana a little bit. Again, it has to be the exact same basic land type, play tap, that's okay. Naya Panorama, can tap right close if we just need that, or we can pay 1 tap, sacrifice, get one of our lands into play tapped. Path of Ancestry, again, enters tapped, taps for 1, and also on top of that, we get to scry quite a bit because, again, all those rabbits match our commander. Next up, Promising Vein. Again, yet another way to essentially go get any of our basics into play tap by paying 1 tapping and sacrificing it. Secluded Courtyard, basically command tower for this deck. Enters the battlefield, choose Rabbit. We can tap for a colorless, or we can tap to add 1 mana of any color, but just for rabbits. And again, our entire deck is literally our commander in 66 rabbits. So there you go. We can actually just utilize that for any of ours. So basically in this deck, we have 3 command towers. Anyway, kind of like 4 with Exotic Orchard or 5 with Path of Ancestry and battlefield tap, but yeah, don't worry about it. Sheltering Landscape, we can either tap right colors, we can tap and sacrifice it, or we can cycle it away if we need to. Shire Terrace as well, like Promising Vein, basically the exact same thing. Timberwood Expanse, basically like Evolving Wilds. Thriving Buff, again, kind of like those gates that enter battlefield tap. This is basically the exact same thing. This is the red one. We got a green one with Thriving Grove, and then the white one with Thriving Heath. Unclaimed Territory, again, scrolled a little too far right there. Unclaimed Territory, basically the exact same thing as Secluded Courtyard. Again, being able to say Rabbit, and all of a sudden, this is a command tower for you. There are some benefits for leaning super heavily into all rabbits. Of course, there's some downsides as well, but again, if you're going for like a, you know what, I'm just going to go with the most simple solution, and sometimes that's the best solution for me, Yeah, 66 Hare Apparents can get you there when it comes to having a really exciting and really explosive deck with a really exciting victory option where it's like, yeah, I just drew mostly my entire deck. I played all my Hare Apparents, which played all my other Hare Apparents, which played all my other Hare Apparents, and now I've got 5,000 rabbits here to attack you. Thank you. Now, when it comes to other commanders, again, I do think that Baylen might be the best fit for this one because, again, it does give you that mana. It gives you that, well, card draw as well, and it lets you just lean super heavily into, like, all the Hare Apparents. You do need a little more workaround with some of the other ones. I mean, you could still go 66 if you want with Brago, but still, it doesn't give you that card advantage. It doesn't give you that mana, but what it does give you is Blink, and repetitive Blink is amazing with Hare Apparent. A 2/4 Spirit of Flying for 4 mana and Azorius. Deals combination of player, exile any number of target non-land permanents you control to return those cards to the battlefield under control. Basically, again, for the most part, one of your opponents is not going to have a flyer, not going to have a way to block this. So essentially, you're going to be like, okay, cool. I get my Hare Apparents out. They make their tokens. Cool. I swing with this. I blink them. They come back. I get my other ones. You just keep doing this again and again and again, each turn basically making more and more and more and more rabbit tokens. And again, obviously you could have other blink effects in the deck. You could have other, you could give this double strike. You could have other mass blink effects in the deck. You could have other ways to draw, obviously, and ramp too. So again, if you're not going 66 Hare Apparent, you've got, a way to do slightly less with this one. Next up, Preston the Vanisher. Yet another one that you can lean heavily into Blink and do a lot of cool things with it. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under control, if it wasn't cast, create a token that's copied that creature accepts a 0/1 illusion. Basically, when you get your Hare Apparents to come back into play after you, say, mass blink them with like a Eerie Interlude, cool. All of a sudden, they all come back and they're like, oh, hey, I didn't come in here the normal way, so all of a sudden, I get an extra one of me, but it's a 0/1, which we don't really care about, but all of a sudden, we get to just double up that trigger, which is huge. So yeah, doubling up the tokens in with that blink. Next up, Abdel Adrian Gorian's Ward enters the battlefield, exile any number of other non-land permanents you control until it leaves the battlefield. You get a 1/1 soldier for each permanent exiled this way, so basically, make more tokens, which is nice. But yeah, kind of like store up those tokens, like a Fiend Hunter type effect. Store up those, sorry, not tokens, store up those Hare Apparents just up there waiting, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, cool, Abdel Adrian, you know what? Go away for a little bit. So you just like cloud shift it. It goes away, comes back, and all of a sudden those Hare Apparents come in, and you just use and abuse that ETB again and again and again and again and again, all while also making a bunch of soldiers. You could, of course, choose a background that benefits you. There's ones that can drain opponents. There's ones that can pump your army. There's ones that can provide card advantage. So yeah, whatever avenue you need. I mean, maybe pick based on color. You could go like blue if you want extra blink effects, or, red if you want like impact tremors kind of things. Yeah, so this one gives you a lot of different options. One that is a bit more focused when it comes to Blink, though, is Yorion Sky Nomad, which might be the grossest option, potentially, and just what it can do once you get things going. A 4/5 Bird Serpent for 5 mana in Azorius. Don't worry about the companion, because the companion thing never works in Commander, unfortunately, because, well, the rules committee decided that you can't have more than 20 cards, or more than 100 cards in your deck, essentially. 99 cards in the deck, you know what I mean. Okay, flying, enters the battlefield, exile any number of other non-land permanents you own and control, return those cards to the battlefield at the beginning of next end step. Essentially, this plus any creature that is like, hey, blink, like Feldar Guardian, essentially, or Restoration Angel. It's like, oh, okay, cool. So you basically just have this plus any of those creatures that says, hey, ETB, blink something else. That is just like a repeatable way to just keep blinking your board every single turn once a turn. So basically, you're just like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, Yorion plus the Restoration Angel or whatever. Is that the right name for that one? Anyway, Feldar Guardian, there we go. All of a sudden, you're just like, okay, hit my end step. All right, everything come back. All right, I get to blink again. Okay, then I go have everything come back, and then you just keep like getting more and more Hare Apparent triggers again and again and again. Basically, just Conjurer's Closet your entire board every single turn. Yeah, you're going to have a lot of rabbits everywhere. Speaking of which, double trigger time. So, 2 commanders I want to highlight in this section. Again, when it comes to double triggers, Delny, of course, Streetwise Lookout, a great one for that. 2/2 Human Scout for 3 mana in white. Creature control with power 2 or less. Can't be blocked by creatures power 3 or greater. So that first part is actually kind of nice because, again, it does give you an avenue to victory outside of just, I've got 5,000 rabbits, good luck trying to block them. This is more so like, okay, opponent who's got a bunch of big creatures, you can't block me at all. I'm just coming through. But, of course, the important part with this one is if an ability of a creature controlled power 2 or less triggers, that ability triggers additional time. Your Hare Apparents, of course, do not have much power. So all of a sudden you have them come into play. Those abilities triggers twice, and you are getting an absurd amount of rabbits every single time. Elesh Norn, a meaner version of that last one, kind of. A 4/7 Phyrexian Predator Vigilance for 5 mana and white. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability permanent you control to trigger, triggers twice. Permanents entering the battlefield don't cause abilities a permanent your opponents control to trigger. That is a little mean, just a little bit mean. I mean, the only time that actually benefits your opponents is like when they're like, oh, I play a bounce land. Wait, I don't have to bounce a land? This is amazing. Thank you, Elesh Norn. And Elesh Norn's like, wait, why? No. But yeah, no. This one is basically shut down your opponent's ETBs, double up yours. So again, doubling up your Hare Apparents is amazing. Speaking of doubling, let's talk about Zinnia Valley's Voice. Yet another great option. Double up your Hare Apparents in a weird, different way. A 1/3 Bird Bard with flying for a 3 mana in Jeskai. So again, giving you even more colors to work with, which is quite nice. Gets plus X plus 0, X is the number of other creature you control, base power 1. Yeah, this can obviously be a win condition for you, literally with just this, plus all your Hare Apparents. I mean, if you could just did like, the all Hare Apparents deck could be quite funny, but yeah, you could just be like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, just have all Hare Apparents and all little rabbits, and this has plus 40 power, or plus 5,000 power at a certain point, or whatever. You're swinging through, you can hit an opponent, you can take them out. The important part here, though, is creature spells you cast have offspring too, meaning that when you cast them, cast those Hare Apparents, which cost 2 themselves, you pay an additional 2, congratulations, now you get an extra 1. You get a token copy of it that is a 1/1, which is the exact same thing, basically. So, right, you just make even more of them each time, making it so that you get more and more and more into play, and all of a sudden, you are getting so many rabbits in play. Speaking of which, again, and here's the thing, like, there's a lot of crossover some of these, so, like, if you're gonna have a deck that you just, like, pick one of these commanders, and it's got a decent amount of colors to it, you can probably pick other ones to throw in there, too. Like, a Zinnia deck could definitely have Yorion in it. Not as the companion, unfortunately. Moving on. More tokens, another category with 2 in it. Mondrak Glory Dominus is another option for you. 4/4 Phyrexian for 4 mana and white. If one of our tokens we create under control, twice that many of the tokens are created instead. Pay 1 Phyrexian white, sacrifice 2 other artifacts and our creatures, indestructible counter on it. Yeah, it's quite easy to, get to that point where you can sacrifice some creatures to be able to get it indestructible. So this can be a hardy commander, one that is hard to deal with. And also just being able to be like, oh, okay, cool. Every single time I play my Hare Apparents, I get twice as many tokens. You can take over the board quite quickly. Or talk Deepest Foundation, a 6/6 god with vigilance, 4/6 mana and white. One of our tokens created under control, 3 times that many are created instead. So yeah, even more ridiculous. That being said, I mean, it is protected in some way too, though. Unlike, Mondrak's protected and that can get indestructible. This one, if it dies, it flips over into a land, Temple of Civilization, tap for a white, pay 2 in a white tap, transform it, active ability attack with 3 more creatures this turn, only as a sorcery. Here's the thing. Yeah, you've got so many rabbits, you're going to be able to attack with 3 more creatures, of course, so you can do that. Next up. Kudo, King Among Bears, another option which is kind of funny. Pump It Up is the category for this one. A 2/2 legendary creature bear for 2 mana in Selesnya. Other creatures have base power and toughness 2/2 and are bears or other types. Another great option because this one helps you out in multiple ways. First of all, it is, again, and I actually didn't read, the very first time this came out, I didn't read it properly. It affects your opponent's creatures as well. So this just levels the playing field completely for everyone's creatures, essentially. Unless your opponents have, say, like anthems or +1 counters or whatever, but just at a base level, this adjusts base power and toughness, so everyone's creatures are literally just 2/2s. They're bears too, which is funny, so you have bear rabbits, but I don't know if that's a thing or not. But anyways, it doesn't really matter. What matters is literally every single creature is the exact same power and toughness, and that means that your little Hare Apparents, which are, 2 mana, plus all the tokens they create, are all 2/2s, and all your opponent's creatures are 2/2s. Even their giant Eldrazi's or whatever they are 2/2s. So you just are like, you know what, whoever's the most creatures wins, and you've got the Hare Apparent deck, so you're going to get there. Congratulations. Next up, Jetmir Nexus of Rebels, another great option, of course. A commander that you, where Baylen is one that you're like, okay, I want to get this down early because I want to get value out of my Hare Apparents and their tokens early right away. I want to be able to build up that mana, draw those cards. Jetmir is one where you're like, okay, I literally don't want to play this until I win the game. 5/4 Cat Demon for 4 mana and Naya. Creature you control get +1/0 and have vigilance as long as you control 3 or more creatures. The same is true for 6 or more, but it's an additional +1/0 and trample. The same is true for 9 or more, but that's an additional +1/0 and double strike. So essentially, if you get to 9 or more creatures, which is incredibly easy for you to do with a Hare Apparent deck, congratulations, you get +3/+0 for everything, and vigilance, and trample, and double strike, meaning that every single one of your little 1/1 creatures is a 4/1 that can hit for 8 with trample. So yeah, and vigilantly stay back for defense too. So yes, this is literally just, okay, I make a bunch of rabbits. Okay, I'm ready. I put Jet Mirror into play. All right, I swing. You all lose. Yeah, you're basically just times 8 your damage, which is absurd. So yeah, Jet Mirror is a great pump commander option. And again, gives you access to a lot of colors to work with. Next up though, next category, less cast. Yeah, reducing the casting cost of our rabbits, of our Hare Apparents, can be amazing. Hamzi Arti Varashian is a great one to consider for this. 5/5 Elephant Warrior for 6 mana in Selesnya. Costs 1 less cast for each creature control they counter on it. Creature spells you cast cost 1 less cast for each creature control they counter on it. Basically, if you add in some counter synergies into the deck as well, which of course can benefit you just by pumping your entire team, you can make this commander literally just cost 2 every single time you cast it, which is huge, number 1. Number 2, and more importantly, your Hare Apparents again cost 2 mana. White and a 1 mana. Cool, congratulations. So all you need to do is now reduce down that 1 mana. You just literally need, you just need 1 creature essentially with that in place. Your creature is going to cost 1 less, and just by costing 1 less, you just have to pay a single white mana for every single one of them. So you're like, oh yeah, 1 mana. Okay, I make like 10 tokens. Cool. And then I probably have this way to get like counters on all of them, like Cathar's Crusade. Oh my goodness. You can do some crazy things. Speaking of which, more fun, the Boundless. One that you might not have thought about, but definitely consider it as well. And you can do some absolutely absurd things with this one with the right build. A 6/6 shapeshifter for 7 mana. Changeling, enters battlefield, just a creature type. Rabbit. Spells the chosen type you cast cost Wooburg, I was supposed to say 1. Wooburg less to cast. The effect reduces the amount of color mana you pay. Other creature control the chosen type get plus 1. This helps you out in 2 ways. Number 1, well, that little anthem is quite nice. Again, turns all your rabbits into 2/2, so doubles up their power. Great. Cool. More importantly, though, it reduces their casting cost by a white mana, meaning again, they just cost 1 generic mana, which is amazing for all of them. And of course, if you have any other cost reducers, all of a sudden, all your Hare Apparents cost nothing to play. And then you can do some really crazy things with like mass bounce effects, where you're just like bouncing all your Hare Apparents back to your hand, replaying them all again for free. There's some absolutely crazy things that you can do with an interesting setup around Morph the Boundless. Obviously, it costs 7 mana to get out. You need to like ramp really quickly to do that, but once you get set up, you can do some awesome things with this one. So again, it is another one to consider as well. Finally though, in my final category, Rabbit Season, Phineas Ace Archer, 2/2 Rabbit Archer, Vigilance, and Reach for 2 mana in Selesnya. Whenever attacks put a counter on each other creature control as a token or a rabbit, then if creature control have total power 10 or greater, draw a card. Ironically, if you had that in the Morphon deck, this would just be free to play, obviously. So this is one where, again, get a counter on each other creature control, it's a token or a rabbit. That's all of your creatures with the deck, okay? Then if creatures you control have power 10 or greater, very easy to get to. You just need 5 of them in play, essentially. Again, since they have those counters on them, you're going to be drawing cards with it too. Obviously, this type of commander, you need to protect it, you need to have ways to get it through, but still, it does give you card advantage and it pumps your army as well. Potentially another option, though, for a rabbit-centric deck, Kadir Call the Small, 3/3 Trampling Orc Ranger for 3 mana in Selesnya, deals combat to a player for each token you control, create a 1/1 rabbit creature token, obviously takes advantage of, well, yeah, just the amount of tokens you're going to be making with your Hare Apparent cards, and yeah, if you can get this through, if you give it double strike, you can do some really crazy things and go super wide, super fast. But overall, again, at the end of the day, I absolutely love when we see these brand new, a deck can have any number of cards named, because it's just very unique for Commander, where Commander, again, is a singleton format. And yes, you can do these things in like other formats too, but in Commander, it's a singleton format. You only get 1 card of each card, right? That's just the rule. You don't get 4 like other formats, you get 1. So being able to kind of break that singleton rule wide open with a brand new thing like this definitely changes the possibilities of a deck. And literally, again, just having the possibility of being like, yeah, my deck is literally just lands, my commander, and 66 Hare Apparents was just too interesting of a proposition for me not to build a deck around it. And I do think, again, yes, it's a bit jokey. Sure, okay, it is a bit jokey. You could definitely pare down the number of Hare Apparents to make the deck more competitive. But come on, isn't it just fun to be like, you know what, let me draw another card. Whoa, a Hare Apparent, who knew? All right, let's tap 3 of those tokens. All right, another one, who knew? Wow, this keeps happening. How does this keep happening? And literally at a certain point, just being like, well, I've got enough tokens in play just to draw as many cards as I need to keep casting more of these, to draw more cards, to cast more, to draw more cards. It's quite the interesting and fun setup. Well, and just taking over the game with like thousands and thousands of rabbits, you can do a lot of fun things with that. So yeah, if you're interested in this deck, make sure you check out that deck list link in the description below. Also try to remember to include another list of the other commanders that I went through, the other options for commanders that I went through. Yeah, make sure you consider those as well. There's some really cool builds around Hare Apparent, and yeah, I hope you're excited about it too. And with that, this episode is coming to a close. Make sure you comment below with your thoughts on it. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.